Well, hello again, Keith.
Hi, Mindy. Hello, everyone. Today we are going into session 3 of Allen Parish Gumbo.
All right. And unlike wintertime, I don't know how many people eat gumbo on these hot days like this.
Well, I haven't been eating any gumbo, and to tell you the truth, the last few of these days, this heat is getting to this old man, no doubt.
It's hot. The river's getting low.
The grass is still growing.
Yeah.
My perpetual complaint.
Yeah.
All right, on to today's topic. Mindy, you want to introduce that for us?
Okay. Well, another item from the police jury meeting on July 6th was they had a spokesman from the Delta Access Pipeline Company. And Keith, how old is this company?
Okay, I did a little research on that Delta Access Pipeline LLC, and the representative was like Mindy said, at the July meeting. So I did a little research, and they were registered with the Secretary of State on June 4th of 2026. So I'm thinking, golly, this is a relatively new company to the state of Louisiana. And we have a few interesting things to talk about that. This guy did a presentation to the police jury, and we just want to comment a little bit on that.
Right. He was very broad in
Yes.
he didn't give a whole lot of specifics.
As typical. Normally they're very they're not real specific. They're very broad, and normally what I find is, Mindy, I call it kind of a sales pitch, for lack of a better term, is this is all of the good things we're going to do for the good people of Allen Parish. Y'all, let's face it. These companies exist for profit, and that is the thing that they are most concerned with.
Right. And I found that Delta Access Pipeline is backed by Momentum Midstream, which is an energy infrastructure company expanding its natural gas transmission networks. Okay, so that's a fancy way of saying that they want to destroy our natural resources to lay down 48-inch pipelines and to transfer natural gas in a private pipeline to a private company so that they can sell natural gas to overseas customers for private gain.
Now notice how she said that, y'all. It's not like they're coming in with a 48-inch pipeline to provide people, local residents of natural gas. The sole purpose of this pipeline is coming through Allen Parish, or this segment of it is coming through Allen Parish, to feed into the LNG facilities down in Hackberry. Okay, well now this is a private, very large company, but that natural gas is not going to us. It's shipped to other countries, and these companies are making money off of that. And there's nothing wrong with the company making money, but to come in and want to use eminent domain for that pipeline, which has no public good for us, seems like a conflict, seems like a problem.
Right. They're relying on us not knowing the difference.
Exactly. And we're talking about this company. You did some research. I did some research. They are, funded, so to speak, by private equity firms. Not against private equity firms, but look, the truth is, y'all, private equity firms exist to provide a payday for their shareholders. Okay, and if you look at history, you look at some companies that have been acquired by private equity firms. The first thing they do in a lot of cases, they slash some jobs. Okay, they're not talking. They're talking. You know, we hear about job creation, economic development, job creation. Well, you know, when you have these private equity firms come in, a lot of times they're slashing jobs because they want to cut cost. Okay, and then the companies they acquire, they straddle those companies with debt. Okay, all while they're sucking out all the money they can to go to the people who have invested in these private equity funds. Okay, and what happens is a lot of times I was looking in 2024, which is the last year they had data for, of the companies that these private equity firms acquired in 2024, 11% went bankrupt. That's a pretty substantial number. Okay, in the retail sector, private equity firms in the past have acquired people like Bed Bath and Beyond, Toys R Us, different people like that. Sears. All of those companies are gone. They're bankrupt and gone. And guess what? That was because they straddled these companies with insurmountable debt. They couldn't pay the debt service, so they went bankrupt. You know? So this is who is backing this pipeline. Also, you know, when I see all of this, I'm thinking that's not for the good of the people of Allen Parish. And it certainly doesn't sound like it's going to be good for quote unquote economic development for Allen Parish.
No. These investors, they take the lion's share of any profit for their own and for their investors. And then they leave little to the communities.
Yeah, they just leave a debt straddled company.
Right.
Which is the byproduct, so to speak.
Right.
And then they move on.
Right.
They move on to the next.
And we're left with the destruction of what's there, because they're not environmental friendly. And people can call me a tree hugger. I will hug a tree, and I will. Yeah. But I like my trees, and I don't like a company coming destroying our natural resources.
Absolutely.
And the incentives, all these 45Q credits, and I don't know about the grants offered by the Department of Energy, because this is all considered a part of the energy dominance plan.
Right.
And that's all tied to the 45Q credits and these Department of Energy grants. And the best we can tell is that within 10 years, these incentives are going to be gone, so that eliminates the profit, a huge amount of profit.
Well,
for
when
these
the
companies.
incentives are gone, they probably won't be profitable. Right. In fact, if it wouldn't be for the incentives, they would have never taken on these projects in the first place, because the balance sheet wouldn't have proved it profitable. Okay, so what's going to happen then? After the incentives are gone, guess what? These companies are going to walk away. And ask any attorney about a company that's an LLC. What does LLC stand for? Limited Liability Corporation. You know what? When the incentives are gone, they're gone, y'all. And you know what? Whatever damage, whatever trash is left is going to be us to contend with in our backyards.
Correct.
Think about that.
Yeah. And here's a note also. These companies are also heavily invested in data centers.
Absolutely.
So, and there was a mention on Facebook about interest in a data center near Moss Bluff.
Right.
And whether you like it or not, that affects us.
That's right. And I found out another little interesting tidbit. We have a couple of utilities that service our area. One of them is Delta Utilities, which provides natural gas to people in the area. And the other is CLECO, electric power company. I don't know if any of you knew this, but the same private equity firm has acquired both of those. So now you have the natural gas provider is the same company that provides our electricity, which is what the data centers are after.
Right. So who's going to get preferential treatment?
Exactly, exactly. And it's interesting that all of this infrastructure might be owned by just one person or one entity. You know, it's kind of scary.
Right. And while natural gas is considered a contract carrier and is subject to expropriation if it furnishes natural gas to the public, right?
Right. That's my perception, and I'm not a lawyer.
Right.
But in the case of this pipeline is going to be to send the natural gas to ultimately the LNG facility.
A private industry
Right.
for export to foreign countries.
Yeah.
So, according to the Louisiana Supreme Court decision in Plaquemines, Port Harbor, and Terminal District 5, they determined that eminent domain, and their term was quick take eminent domain, was not allowed because the land was to be leased to Venture Global for a private terminal. And so there's no public good there. So it's all private for private gain. And so ultimately all that money goes to these equity firms that give us no benefit. So natural gas must demonstrate a broader public utility. It cannot use the government power to secure land for a single entity's exclusive profit.
Take note of that, y'all. That's
So,
a big statement.
because he did say that by August or September, they would be contacting all the landowners.
Right.
And so don't be bullied. Don't be bullied. The Louisiana Supreme Court has issued a precedent about this. And it seems like none of these companies, none of our legislators really talk about this.
Right.
Because it is extremely important for those of us that don't want our land expropriated for this sort of thing.
Right.
Sometimes they may, and according to a lot of this, they might resort to threats. Well,
Yeah.
we'll just go take your land.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't be threatened by that. And because I think there's no way they can get around this Louisiana.
Yeah. And in fact, when they show up, might be a good idea to set your phone on record and tell them, hey, everything we're going to talk about, we're going to record.
Right.
And if they have a problem with that, well, then let's do everything in writing.
Right. Well, I don't let anybody on my property for any reason at all.
Yeah.
I don't care what your reason is. If you're not somebody that I wanted on my property, called, invited, whatever, I do not let you even park in my driveway.
Yeah.
So that makes it clear. And I painted purple, my husband, not me, but we painted the purple markings around the trees, because in the state of Louisiana, a purple band around a tree that's a minimum of 8 inches wide signifies that that is private property. And if you enter into that, it's more than just a simple trespass. It is a bad faith trespass.
Right.
So that is something a lot of people don't know. So,
okay, y'all.
wait, and let's see. Saturday, August the 29th, the Miss Allen Parish pageant will be held in the Allen Parish Civic Center in Oberlin. And registration is from 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. with the competition starting at 10 a.m. So if you like to dress up, you like to see these young women dressed up, that's the place to go. And it'll be indoors.
Yeah. At the air-conditioned Civic Center. Thank God. Yeah. All right. Thank y'all for this segment. We'll be back with more later on.
Okay, thank you.